Alright mates, I just got done with my test ride here. Alright, I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of this bike. Flat out, just right off the bat, the cons of this bike are going to be very personal and picky. Aside from those, this bike is damn bang on. It's just nearly perfect at what it does. At the price it's offered, at around $8,000, I personally can't see how you can go much better. So overall, it's fucking like fantastic. It's fantastic. But more specifically into some pros, okay? So in my test ride, you'll hear me say this a million times, but the comfort on this bike is ridiculously good. It is very, very, very good. So if you look right here, the way the seat is just wide right here, and then it gets really narrow with these lines, is damn near perfect. Like, at no point did my ass ever feel uncomfortable aside from sweating, okay? And I have very long legs, and I was surprised at how comfortable I could be on this bike personally. My knees and my legs fit perfectly into the sculpting right here, into this tank, like perfectly. I could really grip the bike with my thighs, and it felt very, very comfortable all around. The seat is not very stiff. It's not too soft. It's got like almost like it's a good spongy squish feel to it, but the seat is fantastic. The handlebars are not too wide, they're not too narrow. I'm a pretty lanky guy, and for me it was still very comfortable. Again, for the millionth time, I was surprised at how fucking comfortable I was on this bike. So if you're tall, I wouldn't overthink it too much, but we'll get back to that a little later. The looks. I personally absolutely love the way this looks. This has the look that, so people that don't like the way the Street Triple RS looks with its kind of bug-eyed headlight, I feel like this is what those people would want it to look like. I've seen modded Street Triples where they take the bug eyes off and they put a round headlight in the front of the bike, and I think that's exactly what Triumph has done here. Is it kind of looks like a small baby Street Triple, only the headlight is round instead of that bug eye look. Now, I don't think the Street Triple looks bad with its bug eyes either, but for people that like the round headlight look, if you wanted like a Street Triple with a round headlight instead, the looks of this are like right up your alley. Some people hate the tail. I personally love this. I like this kind of style and this look, how it kind of drapes over the wheel, and it looks legit. I think stocks like this that come out from the bottom here, like my F900R has a license plate holder that comes out this far from the bottom of the tail. I think that looks horrible. This looks a lot better, and I love the way the tail light's integrated right into the back of this bike. It looks very clean. Some people don't like this, but I really do like this. I think it looks really good. It was a good way for them to fit in all their like European rules and still make the bike look good. So the looks, they're fantastic. If you wanted to take the passenger foot pegs off, I feel like they could look even better, but it looks fine with it on. So the looks, again, me personally, love, love, love the way this looks. What else do we got here? This bike, in that full 650 beginner range of motorcycles, I love how this kind of sits right in the middle of it. It's not as torque heavy on this side of the scale as an MT-07, but it isn't the CB650R where all the power it makes is up high, where you really have to rev out the throttle at the top end. This is a triple and it sits right in the beginning, okay? So though it is very torque heavy, it sits right in between. I feel like it's right in the middle of the MT-07's torque and the CB650R revving out all the way kind of towards the end of the rev range. So I love this characteristic about the bike. Almost like if you couldn't make your mind up between the two, here you go. You know what I mean? This is the perfect just middle way. It just sits right in the middle. All right, what else do we got here? It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. An MT-07 is real plasticky, but this is like metal all around. I mean, aside from the like plastic right here, this bike feels substantial. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel dingy. All right, what else do we got? This bike, I think if you were starting out on this bike, I don't think a lot of people are going to feel the need to upgrade very soon. I mean, sure, some of you are, but this is a bike you could grow into, and that's what this whole 650 class is known for. Just enough power to where you don't get bored too fast and you can live with it for a long amount of time. These are the perfect jack of all trades bikes, and this is no different. It's just about good at absolutely everything, but a master of none. It's just all around, it'll get the job done. Okay, what else do we got here? So the characteristics of this bike and just how, I personally think the suspension's not soft at all. It's a little stiff. Every bump I went over there, I could feel it. At one point, a bump that was not too crazy kind of like, you know, knocked my butt up a few millimeters off the seat. So that doesn't, I don't think I view that as a bad thing. I think what that tells me is that this bike, you can really push it around. If you wanted to take this into the twisties and really, like, once you grow into it, you have some expertise. If you want to go pro on this bike and just really fuck with it, you can. The suspension is going to do the trick. Whereas something like an MT-07, it's a lot squishier. The shocks on it aren't as compliant as these right here. So in my opinion, it's a pro how stiff this feels to me. All right, and this is another small little pro, but I didn't find this out till I was riding, but this bike has self-canceling turn signals. I don't know why, I feel like you only get that in like upper bikes, but this bike has self-canceling turn signals. So it's just like a car, you turn, once you go straight for a while, it automatically turns off so you don't forget to turn it off. So that's my cons right now. And there go some of the more ignorant versions of us. Yeah. Not that I'm not ignorant, but... All right. So, cons. God. So the cons, okay? These cons are very nitpicky. They're very personal. If none of these would keep me from getting the bike at all. Like they're not very major, but kind of nitpicky here. The display. It's a cross between a TFT and an LCD display on here. It's kind of this weird mix of both. Maybe Triumph did it to, I don't know, save a little money. It does do the job. It's gonna show you everything and lay it out simply for anyone to get it quickly. But if you look at some of the dashes on, say, like a Rocket 3 or a Scrambler, I don't get why they just did kind of, like, I don't know why they didn't just go with that kind of look. Or just do a full round TFT. I don't get why they didn't do that. That's just me. Again, I'm spoiled coming from an F900R that still has like the best TFT right now, but it's okay. I personally, I'm looking at the dash and I'm like, eh. But that's just that. Okay, what do we got here? I don't know how vain you are, but as far as comfort, if you're a taller rider, I wouldn't be too worried. I would only start getting worried if you're about 6'3" and up. If you're really gorilla-like, I think the comfort may start to falter on you there. I'm 6'1". I feel perfectly fine on this bike. I feel just fine. As lanky as I am, I'm fine. However, I'd say I'm about the cutoff for kind of looks on the bike. If you are taller than me, if you start going 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", you're gonna start looking kind of stupid on it. It's a small bike. If you care about how good you look on it and you're taller than me, you may start to look a little ridiculous. But if you don't give two shits, by all means, I think it'll be fine. But of course, test ride it before you buy it. All right. another small thing. For those of you that like holding the clutch with 2 fingers, if you like 2-fingering everything, this bike doesn't like it so much. You can get away and still do it, but I found you kind of got to pull the clutch all the way in for it to shift better. So you're gonna have to use you're most likely gonna have to use all fingers to pull in the clutch and whatnot. So, I mean, that's not a very big deal at all, but there's something. And this is what I might get most shit for. This is what I might get most shit for. People love the sound of the triple. I don't, right? A lot of the experience of a motorcycle is how it sounds as you're riding it and shit. Does it sound terrible? No, it doesn't. But I don't like how the bike sounds personally. I think triple cylinder engines only sound good at certain times in the rev range. Like when I was around 3,000 or 4,000 RPM is when I think it sounded very racy and good. But literally all other times you're on the bike, I don't like the wheezy noise from a triple engine. It just sounds so wheezy. It just whines so much. V-twins and 4-cylinders are the best sounding bikes in my opinion, but the sound is not bad enough for me to deter from the bike. I'm sure in the future they'll come out with aftermarket exhausts that make it sound better, but for right now in its stock form, I don't really like the way the bike sounds. I think it sounds underwhelming. It's quiet for, rules, regulations, certain reasons, but I don't like the way it sounds, man. I think it only sounds good like 2/10 of the time, okay? Other than that, it just sounds so whiny to me. But that pretty much is the last con, all very picky. Overall, man, if I was just now starting out, and I had the typical range of MT-07, SV650, this bike, and all the other ones, the Z650, whatever, I would probably go for this one. Price-wise, it's just damn near perfect. The way it delivers power and the way it feels mature. It doesn't feel like, of course you can hoon around on this thing, but it does not feel like MT-07 levels of foolery. It feels mature, it feels relaxed, it feels potent. You just can't go wrong with this bike. It is, for its class, almost perfect. Done.